Bullish as me looking sideways. Welcome to week 2 of Sunday Scaries. We're going to go through some football games. We're going to talk about a beer. And I'll go over what I just made for myself for dinner. So I guess we'll go over the food first, huh? Pretty simple tonight. Nothing crazy. Did a nice chicken breast in the oven. I know it kind of looks like fish on camera, but it's chicken. With some dirty rice. Actually, leftover dirty rice. Shh, don't tell anyone. And a simple baked potato. So nice, easy, simple dinner. Beer-wise, what do we got? This is actually a table beer, which I was pretty excited to try because not too many places do table beers anymore. Very light, 3.4%. I recorded a few reviews today, so a nice light, easy sipper to close out the evening. I'm good with that. It's called Floating Forgetfully Alone by 13 Stripes up in Taylor, South Carolina. As you would see, the can art looks like George Washington crossing the Delaware. The little blurb on the side, which 13 Stripes usually do. Table beers were historically a beer the whole family could enjoy together around a meal. The whole family. I guess in colonial times there were no such thing as legal age limits. They are low ABV, crushable light ales meant for celebrating community. Since celebrating community, since celebrating and community are two of our favorite things, meaning 13 Stripes. Next to beer, of course, we decided to brew the perfect beer for a get together. Enjoy this beer with good company. So let's crack it open. As you all know, if you're subs of my channel, I hard pour. Listen to that sexy sound. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. And look, it's actually pretty pale. I don't know why I was expecting a table beer to be darker, to be malty. Cracker open. Yes, sir, Wayne. Yes, sir. How are you? Top. Ooh, 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 ooh. The dangers of hard pour. We play a dangerous game, ladies and gentlemen. Dangerous game. So, I didn't have a ton of super exciting NFL games available to me during the afternoon, unfortunately. It did catch the end of that ridiculous Miami Dolphins Baltimore Ravens game. But it started off with Giants Carolina, which was pretty ugly. It's a lager, so it would be light. You're probably right. I mean, it would make sense, right? Something lighter being a table beer something light, a lager being something light. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's correct, Wayne. But yeah, the Carolina Giants game wasn't all that exciting. Pretty ugly. Got close at the end. Daniel Jones looking like he's got a little bit of Eli in him after all. You know, have a pretty mediocre game for most of it and then come through at the end. I will get to that. You calm down, Wayne. You calm down. And the other game, of course, was Patriots-Steelers, which I'm sitting here looking at the TV guide, and I see the Patriots game and the Giants game. It made me think I was back in Connecticut. I moved south. What the heck? Anyway, let's go over some scores. So what I was able to see early, wasn't super impressed with. Now, I'm in a pick'em league with, for those that know him from Instagram, Common Man Brew Review runs a $50 buy-in pick'em league on Yahoo. And Wayne, somehow my fantasy team is surviving. I don't know how, but it is. Don't know how. So, one of the games I picked, buddy of mine from up Georgia said, the Jets defense is good. The Jets defense is good. And I kind of agree with that because the Jets usually do have a good defense. It's just the rest of the team that's a mess. So, they were getting, I think, 6 points on the Browns. Browns got to it was pretty close. I think it was pretty close early on, but the Browns wound up pulling ahead by quite a bit. And then it got a little close later on. Browns started pulling ahead again. So I was getting a little worried. The Jets somehow down 30-17 with under 2 minutes, scored a super long 66-yard pass from Flacco to Corey Davis to bring him within 6. And then with under 30 seconds left, the rookie Garrett Wilson 15-yarder from Flacco wound up sealing the deal with the help of the extra point, of course. So I'm thinking the whole day, I'm getting pissed at my buddy. I'm thinking, screw the Jets. They're supposed to have good defense. They should have kept this close. Not only did they cover, they wound up winning outright. So that was the first one. Now the next one, the Lions, a lot of hype in the offseason, of course, beyond Hard Knocks and whatnot. I'm thinking, okay, they got a rebound from last week. The Eagles got to a huge lead on them, embarrassed them. They wound up having to come back later as the game went along, of course, but they wound up losing anyway. So I'm thinking the Lions got a rebound. And I think they were favorites. They were given 2.5. And they wound up winning this game. They're actually up big for quite a bit. They're up 22-0 at halftime. Then the Washington had a bit of a second half comeback. Do the math real quick. 27-14. They actually outscored the Lions in the second half. So the Lions did make it a little bit more interesting than they had to, but they did close it out. And I think the Lions really needed that. They closed out last season really good. They had a lot of hype with Hard Knocks and all the media buzz and that sort of thing. So good on the Lions for getting the W and that sort of thing. Now the next one's interesting. Now so the Saints have been very much a house of horrors for Tom Brady in his Tampa Bay close to his career. And he had never beaten the Saints so far. So, of course, I think they were favored because of the Bucs. I think they were favored, but it was only about 3. So I'm thinking Saints at home. They played Brady really well. Let me take the points. Looked really well for a long time. This game was 3-3 through 3 quarters. Then all hell breaks loose in the fourth quarter. Tampa Bay outscored New Orleans 17-7 in the fourth. I heard there was a huge brawl on the field. I'll catch up on the full highlights later, but I heard there was a huge brawl on the field. Apparently that lit a fire under the Bucs' ass. Because they wound up, after that, at some point in that whole ruckus, under 10 minutes to go in the game. Listen to the rundown of scoring. Under 10 minutes to go. 30-yard touchdown pass from Brady to Rashad Perriman. They kicked a 47-yard field goal. They get a pick 6. They're up 20-3. Michael Thomas adds on a nothing touchdown at the end there. Bucs wind up running away with this game. And the whole day I'm watching this game thinking that my pick, taking the points on the Saints, is actually going to be pretty decent. But I guess that fight really lit a fire under them and got them going. What do you say we try this beer, huh? Sitting here yabbering and all. You come to me for beer reviews. I'm trying to work in the football. I'm trying to work in a little bit of food. But you do come for me the beer. So let's try the beer. Aroma. You know, Wayne may. I think Wayne may have a point for it being a lager because it's got a nice soft corn. When I say corn, I don't want to say corny because corny obviously has a different implication entirely. But it's got a nice soft corn aroma. You know what? It's got kind of a corn rice type of flavor. It's very good. You know? I mean, nobody makes table beers anymore. Maybe, or at least in this country. And that's really good. That's clean. It's crisp. It doesn't have any funky, skunked up, beer type of aftertaste. It's just nice. Let's top this glass off. Nice table beer. The next game, as I went over before, is a little bit of an ugly one. That was Carolina and the Giants. It was 6-6 at halftime. It was 13-13 after 3. I mean, just look. If we want to just look at the stats real quick, see how ugly the box score watchers think it was. Baker was 14-29, so that's 28. Yeah, less than 50%. Only 145 yards. He did have a touchdown. Now, Daniel Jones, 22 for 34, so a little bit better. He had a touchdown as well at 176 yards, so pretty ugly passing wise. CMC, back from the dead, did have 100 rushing yards. He had another 26 yards receiving. Saquon wound up having a decent game, 72. Yeah, it's pretty spread around passing, receiving wise. Other than that, so I mean that wound up being a pretty ugly game. Carolina, unfortunately, the new hometown team of mine winds up starting 0-2. The Giants are 2-0. Who'd have thought the Giants would be 2-0? Where'd that come from? I mean the Giants have been bad for coming up close on a decade, and this. To them to be 2-0 on a team with nobody expecting anything, it's like now I don't know. Maybe they come back to earth. They've played the Titans, which the Titans are supposed to be good this year, but they caught them a little bit of a funky spot. So, maybe the Giants will come back to earth, and of course, playing the Carolina. Carolina is certainly not on solid footing either. The next game up was the other game I watched. New England was pretty much in control of this for most of the game. They're up 10-3 for a good chunk of the game at halftime. And then they were up 17-6 after 3. Pittsburgh wound up tacking on 8 in the fourth quarter to make it a little closer, but I mean Pittsburgh really wasn't doing so hot. Again, as I said, both of the games I had available were pretty ugly, so let's look at the box score to see how ugly it is. Now Mac Jones, 21-35, so not great, but not horrible. Put up 252 yards. So he did move the ball on Pittsburgh. Trubisky, on the other hand, a little bit better completion percentage than Mac Jones. 21-33, but only has 168 yards. They both threw a touchdown. They both threw a pick. Harris had 70 yards in a rushing score. Najee had less than 50 yards. So the Patriots defense held up against the run. Aguilar, over 100 yards, scored a big touchdown in the first half. I believe that was in the first half. And yardage for the Pittsburgh Steelers was spread around a little bit receiving wise. Now the next game, I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to rip my team a brand new asshole. Yeah, Leonard has been playing. Yeah, Pittman was out this week. I don't care. For once in the last freaking decade, can the Indianapolis Colts win a damn game in Jacksonville? What is the freaking problem? Okay? And mind you, I'll give you a pass this year. I'll give you a little bit of a pass last year. That, Trevor Lawrence is there. A lot of coaching changes. Got some energy. Got some young talent. The last 2 games, maybe a little bit of a pass. But over the last close to 10 years, you can't get a win in Jacksonville. Jacksonville has been deplorable. Absolutely horrible. There's just been stacking up draft picks left and right. Why on God's green earth can we not get a win in Jacksonville, Florida? Unacceptable. And not only we're not going to win, we can't even score a freaking touchdown today. What the hell? I don't want to go over this box score. This is insane. Actually, no, I will. I don't want to go over the scoring. I will look at the box score just to see how bad we got embarrassed. Matty Ice, barely over 50% passing, didn't eclipse 200 yards, and threw not 1, not 2, but 3 picks, sacked 5 times. We didn't get a sack on Trevor Lawrence once. Well, I know, Wayne, but, you figure change of scenery. Maybe the 28-3 thing stays with him down in Atlanta. At least that was the hope going into the season, that maybe it wouldn't follow him to a change of scenery, but apparently it did. T-Law had a couple touchdowns. James Robinson had one on the ground. Jonathan Taylor, who had an incredible game last week in the comeback against Houston, mind you, a comeback just a tie, only had 54 yards. Passing yards were spread around a little bit, not much there. Christian Kirk caught both of T-Law's touchdowns, 78 yards. Ingram had 46 yards. So, I mean, we just got embarrassed, and the Colts are off to a very, 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 very embarrassing start this season. There's absolutely no words to defend that. Now, this game, finally an exciting game at 1 o'clock. It certainly didn't start off very exciting. Baltimore was out to, let's do the math on this, 28-7 lead at halftime, 35-14 lead after 3. So they got a three-score lead after 3 quarters. Get out the brooms, smack them around, you're done, right? These freaking Dolphins. Jalen Waddle's on one of my fantasy teams, so I appreciate the effort he did. Now, unfortunately, Tyreek Hill is going against me in my other league. And then wasn't too happy about that because Tyreek Hill was putting up a freaking donut for most of this game. The Dolphins outscored the Ravens, get this, 28-3 in the fourth quarter. Just horrendous. And let's just go over this. So, just to set the stage for how bad this collapse was, the Ravens get 103 kickoff return right off the game from Devin Duvernay. Waddle gets his first touchdown. Oh, whoop-de-doo. It's tied at 7. Bateman, 75-yard pass from Lamar Jackson. Mark Andrews, short yard pass from Jackson. Demarcus Robinson, red zone touchdown from Lamar Jackson. Third quarter, they exchange. Lamar has a big touchdown run. Jasicki gets a touchdown from Tua. Again, like I said, 35-14. Then the fourth quarter, River Craycraft, who the hell is that? He gets a short yardage touchdown from Tua. Then Tyreek Hill gets his 50-yard bomb from Tua. Gets a 60-yard bomb from Tua. Tied at 35. Just over 2 minutes to go. Justin Tucker, 50-yarder, nails it through. Puts the Ravens up. You're thinking, okay, well, they won't cover because I think the Ravens were only given 3.5. So now I'm pissed off. Well, now at the point I'm like, well, if you're not going to cover, just freaking lose. I don't care about you anymore. Just lose. If you're not going to cover, just lose. Sure enough, with under 20 seconds, Jalen Waddle gets a second touchdown from Tua, 42-38. Dolphins hold on at that point to win. So at that point, what is going on with the Ravens? I mean, they're looking like, now granted they beat the Jets last week, which in theory shouldn't take much because it's the Jets. But that being said, you would think that after that, you'd be able to beat the Dolphins. Guess not. Now the next one, if Wayne's still my one viewer right now, going to his team's game. They did wind up finishing 0-2, but at least they showed a little bit of spirit. I did take the Rams to cover, and it was looking pretty good for most of it. If you do the math, they were up 28-10 after 3. Rams were up 28-10 after 3, excuse me. So 18 points. I think the Rams were given 10.5 on this game. So they're still looking pretty good. And then the Falcons just have this charge in the fourth quarter, all under 10 minutes to go. Zacchaeus, 11-yard pass from Mariota. Carter, 26-yard, block punt return. Ultimate embarrassing type of touchdown right there. And then, what is this? A safety at the end. Safety, Rams. Did you just win the Super Bowl? So they did hold down and win. They get back to 500 after that embarrassment on opening night last week against Buffalo. But, Falcons got it back in a little bit. I mean, again, Rams win. Not too much of a surprise, but did get a little bit of a fight from the Falcons on that one. Now, the next one, I spoke in last week's Sunday Scaries about Russell Wilson on Monday night going home to play Seattle. Seattle's in a lot of a rebuild. I can't say they're in a bit of a rebuild. They're just in a lot of a rebuild. Well, I'm thinking Denver's going to crush Seattle. Sure enough, Denver looks like a hot mess, fully, completely. And Seattle doesn't let up the whole game. So I'm thinking, okay, Seattle's got to come back down to earth this week. A lot of buzz on San Francisco. There's no way. They wound up 20 nothing at halftime. They closed it out 27-7. But the big story from this game, of course, is the fact that Trey Lance busted his ankle or his knee or whatever it was. I think it was his ankle. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But Trey Lance is now out for the season. Jimmy G is back in. Niners win, which to me was expected, and they covered. Thank you. Someone in the 4 o'clock games covered. Thank you. Jeez, how hard did I have to ask for that? Another sip of beer. Get all fired up. So the Niners win. The Niners cover, but Trey Lance gone for the season, and Seattle comes back down to earth. A little humbling in a big rivalry game, of course. And now you have to wonder. So obviously, Shanahan's going to go back to Jimmy G for the remainder of the season, and you have to wonder. Jimmy G is going to go into these games starting, and what happens if Jimmy G does catch lightning in a bottle? Not that long ago, Jimmy G took his team to the Super Bowl. And last year took him to the title game. Now, what happens if Jimmy G has another postseason run where he gets to the title game or gets to the Super Bowl, and then he leaves? Now, if you're Niners, you can't go back to Jimmy G. You've already given the job to Trey. And guys don't, and young guys, especially when they're young guys that are deemed dubbed as the future of the franchise, they're not supposed to lose their job to injury. Technically, no one's supposed to lose their job to injury. If you're an older guy like Drew Bledsoe, Mo Lewis cracked his knee in half and started this whole Tom Brady thing. Obviously, there's that. But if you're a young guy that's given the mantle of the franchise, you don't typically lose your job. So you gotta wonder what happens if Jimmy G does put out a good season for the Niners now, does take them deep in the playoffs. What's San Francisco going to do? I mean, they're going to have to go away from. They're going to have to go back to Trey next year. So not too much of big of a story on this, but a huge story with the injury front, and we don't know what's going to happen. Next game, two teams coming in 0-1. Dallas Cowboys, of course, always have a certain amount of expectation going into the season. I wasn't expecting them to win last week, as I said on last week's Sunday Scaries, but I wasn't expecting them to have a grim outlook for the season coming out of it. I mean, you're playing Tampa Bay. So I expected them to lose, but I still figured they'd, come out okay for the season. And, of course, they wound up losing Dak Prescott for 6 to 8 weeks. And now they get the Bengals, who are last season's overall league runner-up, losing in the Super Bowl. And I'm thinking, there's no way. Cincinnati's got a fired up offense. They got a ton of talent. They got a chip on their shoulder. They got something to prove from losing the Super Bowl. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way Dallas comes out on top of this. And sure, not only they come on top, I mean, they're up 70-3 at halftime, 70-9 after 3. And Cincinnati winds up putting together a little bit of a comeback on this. They wind up tying with under 4 minutes to go. They get the 2-point conversion. And Dallas, of course, they wind up having the ball towards the end of the game. They run out of the clock. They drill a 50-yarder for the win. But, so, hats off to the Cowboys. Get off the schneid, especially losing your quarterback like that. Very spirited. And maybe this Cooper Rush character is actually someone serviceable. He's not quite this not quite a complete loss. I mean, if he can right the ship and keep him going, that's not really that bad a deal. As far as Cincinnati's concerned, woof. 0-2, ton of expectations. Jamar Chase is, in his second year, one of the best receivers in the league. Burrow's looking like the stud that they hoped he was. And you're starting off this Super Bowl follow-up season 0-2. That is not a good look. Let's just look at their schedule upcoming real quick. Cincinnati. Well, it might not be too bad coming up. Next week they got the Jets on the road. Maybe they can bring that. I mean, they struggle with Dallas' defense. Maybe they struggle with the Jets' defense too, but who knows? I mean, maybe they bring the Jets back down to earth after this big win today. Then they got the Dolphins next week, which on Thursday night, so that's a short. Dolphins on a short week, who just put on this ridiculous offensive onslaught against the Ravens. And then speaking of the Ravens, that's their next game on Sunday night. So they have a short week off of the Jets game, and then a long week. And then a long week off of the Dolphins game. And then after that, they get Saints. So it doesn't really get easy. I mean, the next probably. I mean, you could say the Jets is supposed to be an easy game, but I mean, the way the Jets defense is playing, you don't know. I mean, you could say the Falcons game is easy, but the Falcons should have won. Whoops. Sorry, I'm clicking things in the ESPN app and not supposed to be. You could say the Falcons is supposed to be an easy game, plus it's at home, but the Falcons have been playing pretty spirited so far. I mean, they should have beat the Saints in week 1. They had a hell of a comeback today. They get Browns after that, Panthers after that. So, I mean, in theory, it's an easy upcoming schedule for Cincinnati to get back on track, but there's a lot of variables. A lot of variables here. It doesn't matter. It's all rigged anyway, right? The next one, now, as I alluded to before, Denver really got the taken to the woodshed last week in Russ's return to Seattle. Didn't look good at all. Didn't really show up, but they figured you get Houston at home this week in your home opener. You got to run them out of the building, right? They're given 10 points. So, good, they need a big rebound off of last week. Houston's not very good. They're going to cover this. Not only not cover, now they could have at the end, but they didn't. They were tied 6-6. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. No, they were not tied. They were down. They were losing 9-6 after 3. They wound up winning. They wound up getting 10 points in the fourth quarter to pull ahead. But I don't know. If I'm Denver, there's some serious soul searching to do right now. I mean, you start out the season with 2 cupcake games. This is like Alabama playing Texas Southern or University of Ohio or, just like some no-name D3 college, and that's the equivalent of what the season started out with. You got Seattle, which is complete rebuilding with Geno Smith at quarterback, and then Houston, which is a complete mess after the Deshaun Watson situation. There's no excuse why this team shouldn't start off 2-0. None. Here they are 1-1, which I guess technically isn't too far a step back, but they're not a good 1-1. They're not like an attractive looking 1-1. Now the next game, as Wayne was alluding to before, super exciting game. I looked at this game in my pick'em, and I'm thinking Cardinals coming off a loss, Raiders coming off a loss. Cardinals are getting 6, which is a huge spread. So I'm thinking, got to take the points on the Cardinals. Even if they lose, which was possible going into the game, not as the game progressed, but going into the game. Even if they lost, like they got to cover. They got to cover 6 points. They can't get blown up by the Raiders. Not a chance. It's not like they have a very far travel there. Sure enough, they're down 20-0 at the half. They're down 23-7 after 3. And I'm thinking, what the Cardinals are broken too. They might throw them in the same category as the Broncos and the Ravens. They're broken. So finally, they wake up, score 16 points in the fourth quarter, and we'll go over this real quick. Darrell Williams, this is all under 10 minutes. Darrell Williams, 1-yard run, gets them back within 23-15. At this point, what was I watching? Oh, the Cowboys game. The Cowboys game was done. It was over. So bonus coverage switched over. Caught the end of this game. Amazing. Cardinals drive all the way down the field with no timeout. Kyler scores from 3. Converts the 2-point. Now, AJ Green caught the 2-point conversion. AJ Green dropped a touchdown pass in the corner where Kyler gave him a perfect pass to catch. And just completely dropped it. So AJ Green gets his, comeuppance. Gets the 2-point conversion, tie game, goes to overtime. Cardinals driving, looks good. Hollywood Brown, wide open down the sideline on 4th down. Ball hits him right in the hands. Smack. Should be easy. Line up. Obviously go for the touchdown again. If you don't, just kick the 3 and get the hell out of there. Well, not get the hell out of there because Oakland. Woo, listen to me. Woohoo! Vegas would still get the ball back, so they would have another shot. But, just set yourself up for a good touchdown. If you don't, you catch a 3, go back on defense. So, catches the ball for like half a second, beat his man, safety comes over, smacks the living piss out of him, drops the ball. Turnover on downs. Oakland, there I go again. Vegas gets the ball back at probably about midfield, I think. I don't think it was, they were too deep into Vegas territory at that point. I almost did it again. Raiders start driving again. You should listen to me when he's only going to go over a freaking Chargers game. I'll say San Diego all freaking day and night. So Raiders are charging. They're going. Then all of a sudden, fumble. Now this was a sloppy game because actually the Raiders had one fumble a few plays before. Hunter Renfrow, former Clemson product, fumbled and wound up. Raiders wound up getting the recovery and wound up getting an additional 6 yards out of it. But this time, not so lucky. Byron Murphy Jr. picks it up, 60-yard return. Say goodnight, Gracie. Cardinals win. Go back to 1-1. And Raiders fall to 0-2. So here's another one. What are the outlooks on these? I mean, the Raiders came into this season and you were thinking like a complete dogfight for the division. You think Denver. Well, actually, let's talk about the division right now. Shoot. Going to be a complete dogfight. KC is KC. You got the most explosive, dynamic quarterback in the league. Raiders made the playoffs last year. Beat the Chargers. I'll try not to say the city because I know I'll say San Diego. Beat the Chargers in the final to get into the playoffs. And the Chargers, of course, have maybe the hottest young quarterback in the league in Herbert. Who am I missing? Oh, wait, Denver? Did I say Denver? Kansas City, Vegas, Chargers, yes, and Denver. Of course, Denver, as Russell was the Super Bowl champion. Now you have Denver getting off to this pretty rough start. 500, not looking great against two mediocre teams. Two teams way below their skill level. You have the Raiders who are 0-2. Granted, 2 hard-fought losses, but 0-2 nonetheless. And the Chargers, who now face the reality of Herbert having a rib injury and probably missing a significant amount of time. So, who's left? You think it was going to be this 14 dogfight going into the season, and the only one that doesn't have a significant knock against them is the freaking Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. So that's kind of leaves that to I guess we'll leave that to greener pastures, although not too many of them are in greener pastures. So I mean that wraps up the Sunday action. Of course, the Chiefs had a little bit of a hard-fought win on Thursday against the rival the Chargers, where Justin Herbert got hurt. Does deal a rim injury now, and the Sunday night game is in commercial break at the moment, but the Packers are already up 3-0. 7 minutes left in the first at the time I'm talking to you about this, so I'm going to go finish dinner, finish a beer, and we'll talk to y'all next week for Sunday Scaries Week 3. Peace, y'all.